I could watch this movie on mute because it was just so like, girl, where else was he gonna go? Why are we lying? I just loved their chemistry. Was really like peak. It was just so boring, and I just felt like they could have been more creative with it. So if that's what you're looking for, you're not gonna get that here. Hi, my name is Des, and today I want to yap about the race to the Oscars 2026. Hi guys. Oh my god, it's been so long, actually, like low-key too long. But colleged, okay? I'm in my sophomore year. It's not easy. It's not easy. So I've been dealing with that. Just a lot of things have happened since the last time I've seen you, but we're not gonna get into it. But we are in a new setup. I have my own apartment, so this is my little nook. I like to call my reading nook. But in today's video, I want to talk about what the public has deemed as like the big three for the Oscars this year. Sorry, I have a cat. That's also a new update. I have a cat, so you're probably gonna hear her collar jingle. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And she low-key might be featured in the video because she likes attention, and she's probably she's already starting stuff. Stop. Get down. She's just too curious. Get down. Pumpkin, why are you doing this? She's really nosy. I wanted to talk about the big three, which are considered One Battle After Another, Marty Supreme, and Sinners. And I want to talk about my thoughts on those three movies individually, and then my wishes / predictions, really just wishes for the 2026 Oscars involving these three movies specifically. So first and foremost, I just want to address that I am not an educated viewer, I fear. If you clicked on this video wanting me to talk about every single creative decision that went into doing these movies, that's not what you're gonna get. I have varying levels of knowledge on creative decisions that went into the making of these three movies, because it just depends on when I watched the movies, how invested I was in the movies when I watched them, how much I liked it. It's just like there's a lot that went into how much I know about these three movies. So you're not gonna get a lot of objectiveness and research answers kind of thing. So if that's what you're looking for, you're not gonna get that here, but that's okay. We are going to have a grand old time. So for each of these three movies, I'm going to have specific points that I want to reach with them, so that is how it's kind of going to be set up. So the first movie I want to talk about is One Battle After Another. First thing I want to talk about is the background of this movie and how I came to watch it. This movie is directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, and it was released September 26, 2025. Now, this movie, I didn't really hear a whole lot about it besides the name of it. It wasn't until my friend Jacob went to go see it in theaters that I really heard more about it, but I couldn't tell you what he told me because I was not invested whatsoever in it. And it had just been on my list, and one day I was just like, I'm just gonna watch it because it was on HBO Max, and I had Jacob's HBO Max because he's the best. We love him. So I just watched it on HBO Max, and I just watched it. And then I recently rewatched it on a not so illegal website because for some reason HBO Max locked me out. So I rewatched it for this video, and that's just kind of a bit of background on the movie itself and how I came to actually invest in it. So now I want to get into the plot. So this movie is loosely about a group of revolutionists who forcefully had to disband, either because they were getting killed off or because they were going into hiding, until eventually their mutual enemy kind of came back in search for the specific character and his daughter. And that's there are layers to this that we'll get into, but that's just the loose plot of this movie. Okay, so the next point that I want to hit is costumes. So for this movie, costumes were kind of funky, but it was, I don't know, it was really nice. Every costume felt true to the character. Willa being in a leather jacket and a fluffy skirt was so T-girl. Tiana Taylor's outfits fit this kind of seductress vibe that her character had, so I think that fit very well. Leonardo DiCaprio's character basically being in a robe the entire second half of the movie was so real. You know what? I can't even judge you because real. Yeah. So I just thought it was very funny that they were very true to the characters. But I also thought one thing that was really interesting, because in this movie, there's a group of revolutionists that go on different missions and things like that. I liked that there were costumes that were based on whatever mission they were on for the most part. Most notably, there was one mission. It was the one when the title card popped up and they were in kind of very businessy attire because that's the kind of location they were going in. That was kind of cool because it was a very stark difference between their regular outfits, and you can tell that it was because of the mission that they were on. So now I want to get into the soundtrack. Honestly, like, upon my first watch of this movie, I didn't even really think too much about the soundtrack, but the soundtrack for this movie was low-key peak, guys. Like, low-key, it was really peak. I just felt like with the premise of this movie, it very easily could have just been logged into the typical action movie genre, but I feel like the soundtrack itself really elevated it and made it kind of more so unique. One thing I really liked about it is the culture aspect of it. It gave a very know your roots vibe. It was just very nice. Like, the movie in general was very, like, not super big, but pretty big on, like, Black culture and Hispanic culture. So it was kind of nice listening to the entire soundtrack and having these elements of Black and Hispanic culture coming together into one soundtrack. It was really nice. I greatly enjoyed the soundtrack. So now we're going to get into the cinematography / film editing aspect of it. First and foremost, the title card, boring. Like, boring. Like, boring. Yes, is what I said. So it's not even necessarily the title card itself that's boring, like, it is, but that's not necessarily the aspect I'm talking about. It's more so the placement of it. It was just so boring, and I just felt like they could have been more creative with it. Like, the title itself is very unique, one battle after another. Like, you could have done something with that, but, like, nope, they didn't. It was just a really boring title card. But some certain cinematic aspects of it, I really liked the parallel between Tiana Taylor's character shooting the gun while pregnant versus Willa shooting the gun later on. It was such a nice parallel. I just really love symmetry with things like that. So I greatly enjoyed that. Honestly, the sequence of the members being killed off was pretty sick, to be real. Like, I actually didn't even know it was about to happen for real until the first girl got shot in the head. I was like, oh, so this is happening. Okay, this is happening. And then they started killing them off one by one. It was really kind of cool. In that it was just like all business. Like, oh yeah, we're just gonna kill all these people. Yay. Like, it was pretty sick. This part was probably my favorite cinematically. The scenes between Bob and Sergio. There are two very specific scenes between the two of them. And the first one is when Bob is first realizing that Willa has been taken and he has to get out of his house and, like, figure out, like, get back into this whole revolutionist stuff like that. And he goes to Sergio for help, and Sergio immediately was like, okay, I got you, come with me. Sergio, bro, he's my goat, I swear. Like, he literally did not care. Like, he was like, oh, you have a problem, you need some help, I got you, king, I got you. And I love that. The sequences were so cool. It was like, they were so, like, chaotic in the sense that they had so much going on, but I was at the edge of my seat. Like, I was invested with everything. I really, honestly, Sergio needs his own movie, for real. Like, I just, like, I was so invested in his aspect of everything, and the fact that he had his whole thing going on versus, like, Bob having his thing. I just loved it. It was like not even chaotic. It was just objectively there was a lot going on, but I really enjoyed that. And then the second one, when it's just him and Bob, like, in the car and stuff like that, like, I just loved their chemistry. Was really, like, peak. I loved their, like, dynamic and stuff. Like, you have this really erratic, druggy guy versus this very calm and collected guy that's like, it's okay, we got this, no big. I've been prepared for this all my life, actually. Yeah, I really liked the way those two, like, scenes were filmed. Like, it was just, like, really taking me along every single, like, aspect of it. Like, So the next section I want to hit is my miscellaneous, like, likes and dislikes. So it's just, like, kind of things that pointed out to me that I wanted to just, like, display here that I didn't really want to put in any other section. So first, Tiana Taylor and Leonardo DiCaprio's chemistry was low-key, like, out of this world, like, real low-key. And I don't know if that's just because Tiana Taylor is so beautiful. La, 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 la. she just happens to have chemistry with every single person she's in the room with, or if it was genuinely like their chemistry was good, but like it was good. And I also thought it was so funny that her character just wanted to Pat like every other second. It was like, girl, like, are you in heat, mama? Like, it was so funny because it's like, Miss Girl, what do you mean? What do you mean? Let's while the bomb goes off. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Also, Tiana Taylor's character's struggle with motherhood and like postpartum depression was so real. Like it genuinely felt like that was the most real her character had ever been throughout the movie. And I really appreciated it. I felt like the struggle itself was represented very well. And it was the specific line being like, am I really jealous of my own child? Like that is so real. And I feel like so many people who become parents, specifically mothers, especially first-time mothers, it is really rough experiencing that, and especially the actual like codependency that Tiana Taylor's character had with Pat. It was like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense why you feel this way. And I think that was the only thing that made sense for her character. It wouldn't have made sense if her character immediately embraced motherhood. Okay, this one's kind of funny. I don't know if this is just the way Sean Penn is as a person, but I didn't notice it until upon my second watch of this movie. But he like walks like a gun was shoved up his 20 years ago. And I don't know if that is just how he walks in general. I don't really know a lot about Sean Penn. I don't know if that's just how he is or if that was an actual character choice. If that was a character choice, bro, props to you that you literally thought about the fact that this man had a gun shoved up his rectum years ago. And now you walk like it. Like, I just think it's so funny. And I feel bad, like, if this is how he actually walks, like, but if this was a character choice, bro, all power to you, props to you, King. Like, I don't know, I just thought that was so funny. And finally, like, just sit with me with these set of lines, okay? Why is your shirt so tight? I'm not gay if that's what you're asking. Like, that whole sequence, which I will get into the dynamic between those two later, but that sequence of lines actually took me out. Like, I had to pause for a minute because it was just so, like, out of left field. But, like, yes, that's actually such a good question, Willa. Thank you for asking him that. And his response, like, immediately being like, I'm not a homosexual, blah, blah, blah. And then that voice he's doing, it's, like, so funny, bro. I literally was dying, bro. Okay, so those are my miscellaneous likes. Let's get into my miscellaneous dislikes. So I feel like Revolutionary Group was such a cool concept to have. I was just really invested, especially within the time period that this movie came out. I felt like it was really refreshing to see people helping out a specific community that's being targeted and like things like that. I thought it was really cool, but I feel like it low-key like lost the plot in a way, like especially in the second half of the movie. Like even on Google, when like you look up the plot description, it only really describes the second half of the movie as if the first half really just took place off camera, which I feel like the first half is the most compelling part of the movie to me personally. But I feel like the Revolutionary Group was so cool, but then it just lost the plot for me. Like, one, I don't really even know what they fully stand for, which I was kind of okay with that up to a certain point in the movie, because it is just like certain people just stand for every single human rights, like activist group and stuff like that. And I was fine with this group being like that without them actually specifying the specific human rights things they are advocating for. But I feel like it just lost it to me when they were robbing a bank. Like, I get why they were doing it, but I guess it's just like, it just lost the plot to me, because then it's like, okay, what are you guys doing then? Because this, like, what are we doing actually? And then it just, in the second half, it basically just dropped because they have to forcefully disband, and all we really see is them using these code words and stuff like that, but we don't see them actually doing the revolutionary things. Like, I don't know, I just wish that we could be more invested in the actual revolutionary group that this movie is so like on, you know? Okay, so hot take, I didn't like Lockjaw. If you liked Lockjaw, right. Right. So I did not like the character of Lockjaw. Not to say he's a bad character, I just didn't like him. Like, if I saw him on the street, I'm running that over. I'm not kidding. I hated that man. Every time he came up on screen, it felt like how I felt when the military would show up in Stranger Things. It's like, why are you here? Yeah, that's how I felt about Lockjaw. But I personally think Lockjaw should have been killed off when he was originally supposed to die. I don't personally know why he was brought back. I'm really confused. He could have just been dead, especially because when he was shown to be brought back, he pretty much died a few minutes later. So it's like, why did y'all even bring him back, truly? Especially because with the way he died before, he was killed by the Christmas guys. So if you wanted to show him being killed by the Christmas guys, it pretty much already happened if he died then. There was literally a hit put out on him in the Christmas guys group. So I'm like, there was really like no reason in my mind for him to come back just for the same guys to kill him just in a different way. It's like, it was not compelling in the slightest. Like, it was so unnecessary. Like, I genuinely don't know why they brought him back. Okay, so my last little dislike. I personally don't like that Willa was Lockjaw's daughter. And I say that, I know that technically with the way the movie played out, it was relevant to the plot and motives for Lockjaw to be doing what he was doing. But I have kind of like two thoughts along with this. One, I was dying on that hill that Teyana Taylor's character would not have let that man inside of her. Like, objectively, especially with where she was at in the movie, this was pre-baby, and she was all over Pat like crazy. So I was just assuming that she was not gonna open her legs for this man. I thought what we saw she did with him was objectively the only thing that happened with them, and I liked that better, and it made more sense for her character to not actually give herself to this man, you know? So I was really confused by that. I genuinely, when I first watched the movie, I was like dying on that hill. Like, even when Lockjaw was going through the entire thing, I was like, no, bro, you're delusional. That's not your kid. Like, who do you think you are? And then when it turned out to be his kid, I was like, yeah. I'm like disgusted now. But yeah, I just don't think it made sense for her character to open herself up to him. But also, you still could have like had what happened in the rest of the movie after they found out that that was his kid without her actually being his kid. Like, so you still have the Christmas guys knowing that he is trying to find if this is his child, but assuming it is his child and that he's going to get rid of her, right? So you still have these guys having that thought, but they cannot know for sure that that's his kid. So then Sean Penn's character can find out that's not his kid, but still either try to get rid of her just to cover up the fact that he was trying to prove or disprove that, or he can try to kill her as with the excuse of just being a product of the French 75 to go along with him being in the military and them not questioning it, stuff like that. Either way, it would have worked if they just didn't have that be his child. And I just feel like it didn't really mean a whole lot outside of him having a concrete reason to get her killed. But like, other than that, like, they didn't have a relationship. He was killed later on. She literally didn't tell Pat, I assume. Like, it just had no effect at all on anything else in the story aside from her still being sent away to try to be killed or something like that. I don't know. I just wish it wasn't an aspect. Finally, for one battle after another, let's get into the lead actor. So the lead actor is Leonardo DiCaprio. As I've said a little bit before, he was like fine in this movie. I genuinely feel like he was overshadowed by one specific cast member that I'll get into later. But I feel like honestly, it's not even that he did not great with this. I think it was just like the material he was given, it didn't warrant him doing more than he did, essentially. So I just genuinely feel like he was okay. I think he had a nice stark difference between the first act and the second act that went along with the two different movies we saw in one movie. So that was very nice, but I just feel like I just feel like he didn't have to do a whole lot, essentially. Okay, so our second movie is Marty Supreme. So first and foremost, before we get into anything with the movie, I do want to talk about the scandal with Timothee Chalamet at the moment. Timothee Chalamet has been in a weird spot of public figures lately with certain things he has said, like about women who choose not to have kids, and what he's done recently talking about the ballet and the opera. And originally when I saw about the ballet and the opera thing specifically, it seemed like there was a general consensus and shared opinion that, okay, he is disrespecting people in ballet and opera, and that is what it is. And now I'm kind of seeing more mixed things where people are just getting over it, being like, oh, there are other things in the world, which is true. Or they're saying, no, he's actually like advocating for the fact that ballet and opera are underappreciated and saying that people should go see the ballet and opera more. Why are we lying? I feel like this is not that big of a thing to like be questioning his true like intentions and stuff. I just feel like it was very clear. He said the ballet and the opera are a dying art form essentially, and that nobody really cares about it anymore, and he doesn't want to be a part of that. I don't know how people are getting to this point. Yeah, so I just think that he said what he said and he meant it, and he disrespected forms of live performing arts when we should be uplifting them, because they will outlive movies and TV shows because of the rise of AI and everything. You can't throw AI on a stage and call it a show. So I think we should be respecting live performing arts more than Timothee Chalamet did in that statement. So now that that's out the way, let's talk about the background of Marty Supreme. So Marty Supreme was directed by Josh Safdie. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sorry. Released December 25th, 2025. If you remember Marty Supreme Christmas Day. I remember that very well. So it was released that day, and this movie, I know it was really big. I was gonna see it in theaters, but all my friends had seen it and they were like, oh, we don't want to watch it again. And the ones said, we're fine watching it again, don't drive. So I wasn't gonna see it in theaters, I guess. So I didn't see it in theaters. I didn't actually watch it until a couple of days ago, because originally this video was gonna just be one battle after another in Sinners. But then when the scandal came out with Timothee Chalamet, people were talking about how they were now taking Marty Supreme out of the running, which originally when I didn't see things talking about Marty Supreme getting an Oscar as much, I thought the movie itself was just not really nominated for things. So I was a little confused, but now I know that it is nominated. So now that's why it's a part of this video. So that's why I watched it a couple days ago on a not so illegal website. And that's my background for Marty Supreme. Okay, so let's get into this plot. This movie is about a hustler who is willing to do whatever it takes to be known as the biggest name in ping pong, something like that. I chalk it up to if Uncut Gems and Challengers had a baby that played table tennis. Like, it literally makes so much sense. If you guys have seen those two movies respectively, it literally feels exactly like that. So that's how I would describe the plot of Marty Supreme.
Guys, I'm literally a genius. I looked it up, and apparently Josh Safdie and Benny Safdie, I can't remember if that's the guy's name, but I was just so, like, jarred by the fact that he also directed Uncut Gems. Like, am I literally a genius or what? I did not look that up before I made that comparison. It was just an immediate thought that it felt like Uncut Gems and Challengers had a baby. And it's not, he didn't direct Challengers, so that's a little bit of a disconnect, but I'm a genius. I'm a genius, like.
Let's get into the soundtrack. The soundtrack was Nothing special. Like, it was very like Challengers-esque, but with a little bit more of less of personality, essentially. There were lots of twinkles and things like that, and I think it was fine for the movie. There could have been other songs that could have been chosen to be on that soundtrack, but I don't really know. The soundtrack itself was just like subpar, like nothing to really talk about for real. Okay, let's talk about cinematography. So this movie, the title card itself was very sick. Now I will say, I'll talk about this a little bit later, but I wish it didn't come from a demonstration of reproduction. Like, I wish that the title card didn't come from that, but I will say it was really cool when the egg turned into the ping pong ball and it had Marty Scream on it. Like, it was a pretty sick title card, I will say. That is my 2 cents on that specific aspect of it. Another thing I noticed recently, not so recently, I watched this movie called Good Time, which is coincidentally directed by the same person who directed Marty Scream, as far as what I've seen, yes. And in Good Time, there's a specific scene when a character explains a story, and it does like a cutaway and it shows the story that he is describing. And that was a scene that I really liked in that movie, but it also felt out of place because no other scene was like that, so it kind of throws off the vibe of the movie. And there was this very similar scene in Marty Supreme as well. And this scene, I've seen mixed reactions to it. I personally was a little like disturbed by it in the sense that I just don't like body hair, so it was more so just the visual of body hair and honey, and knowing it's sticky. I also don't like sticky things, and seeing people lick it, it was a bit icky to me in that aspect, but I do understand to an extent why this story was told, I guess. Not so much why they chose this specific moment to do a visual. I feel like the impact of this scene was so much more than what it was chalked up to be. Like, being used as this specific scene that they're going to cut away to a memory of it. I don't know. I feel like they could have chosen a different scene for this specific thing. And also, I feel like it was just a thing that was just simply brushed over because of the specific scene it was a part of. If this was part of a scene between Marty and the guy who was telling the story, then okay, that's fine. Like, he's telling the story and then the visual of it, it's fine, it works. But it basically gets overshadowed by the fact that Marty is eyeing up this girl from across the room who he previously talked to and we know he's interested in to an extent. Like, it basically gets overshadowed by that because it's like, oh, but what does Marty have going on and stuff like that? We know this woman's married. And like, I don't know. I just feel like maybe it was just the placement of the scene and where it is, or I don't know. It just threw me off, truly. Yeah, but I will say every scene of ping pong table tennis being played, I was locked in. It was like how I was watching Challengers, where I was like, yeah, it was shot very nicely to the point that it had, at least for me as an audience member, I was invested. I was at the edge of my seat because I truly didn't know who was gonna win every single time there was a match. So now let's get into my miscellaneous likes and dislikes. So we're gonna start with the likes, of course, and there's a specific line that Marty says, and he says, "You want to entertain the Japanese so badly when they murdered your son?" When I tell you, I was I did not expect him to say that, and then he looks at the guy and he looks like his like feelings are a little hurt, and he literally like does not give a he literally says like, "Oh, you said something hurt my feelings, I said it back, simple as that," or whatever. And it's like, he does not care. I did honestly enjoy Marty's characterization. I like when characters are extremely flawed, and Marty is extremely flawed. The reveal that the black eye was fake was so cool. Like, because I fully believed it. I had no idea. I was not gonna be like, oh, she's probably faking it, because no, I was not gonna do that, whatever. So it was like revealing that it was fake was like, and the way they did it, like the fact that it was revealed because she was trying to go along with the scheme that Marty started, just for it to be revealed her own personal scheme she had going on, bro. So sick, truly so cool. I was gagged when it was revealed that it was fake. My last like is, let's just say, hold me back, Indo. Guys, Indo was so fine. Like, oh my god. I never wanted Marty to win specifically when he was up against Indo, because I'm like, I just want my man to be happy. Like, so he can come home happy. Like, yeah, that man. Beautiful, beautiful specimen. Okay, so now let's get into my dislikes. For one, I kind of hinted at this, but I did not need the visual demonstration of what reproduction looks like internally. Like, I haven't really seen anyone dislike this portion. They thought it was really cool and kind of camp or like just really unique. I personally didn't need it. Like, and this is a thing where I don't really know the creative decision that went into putting that into the movie, if it was just to be cool or if it was genuinely to show that he got Rachel pregnant. But I feel like we would have gotten the memo when literally the next time we see her, she's big as a balloon. Like, I think we would have gotten the memo that she was pregnant and that it was most likely his kid. So I just personally didn't need it. But it's also like, because I did really like the transition from the egg to the ball. Like, I did really like that, but I don't know. They could have done something else with that. Like, they didn't have to do that. I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan. I also feel like showing us the visual demonstration of reproduction after they did the Devil's Tango proved to the audience that he assumed like he got her pregnant. So later on when she is pregnant and he's denying that it's his kid, it's kind of like an out-of-body experience because we as the audience know that's his kid, but Marty is denying it. So it's less like we're living through Marty's eyes like we do in the rest of the film. This one is just like, it's become a pet peeve of mine, but please, for the love of everything good in the world, stop showing me Timothee Chalamet's little butt. I recently rewatched Call Me By Your Name with my friend Jacob, and I've just seen enough of Timothée Chalamet's bare ass. Okay, I'm tired. This one's kind of a small one, but we never really officially find out why Kay was crying in that last scene. And I did look it up on TikTok, and they basically said like she got a bad review on her like play and stuff like that. I feel like maybe it wasn't as clear to me, or like maybe they just didn't do a good job showing it, but I was not in the know that was why she was crying. I assumed she was crying because they got found out, because she was literally like, he was literally in a public place. Like, I thought that it got published that she had an affair and that's why she was crying, which I kind of like that better than what it actually is, I guess. But it makes sense that wasn't how it was, because I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop with her husband to like confront Timothée Chalamet's character when he was like paddling his butt. I thought he was gonna be like he was like, and this is for me and this is for my son, blah blah blah. I thought he was gonna be like, and this is for screwing my wife or something. And I thought that would have been such a cool reveal that he knew, but lo and behold, I guess he just never found out. I don't really know. It's so annoying. And another thing, those orange ping pong balls literally meant nothing. They show up 3 times in the movie. 3 times, and I can actually like describe the very 3 scenes they pop up in. One, when he's trying to convince his boss that they should do it, like have orange ping pong balls. 2, when he comes and tries to sleep in the same house with his like partner and he shows him the balls. And 3, when the same partner pours the balls out the window. It's like, why was this such a big thing? Why was orange such a big aspect of your promotions just for it to literally mean nothing in the movie? Like, what are we doing? This also goes into a little thing that I feel about just every movie that describes this, and I understand it goes along with the time and people still say it now, but I don't like the white equals luxury thing. And that is the reason he said that they should use orange ping pong balls, because when they use white balls, you can't see it against the white shirt, so they have to wear black shirts. And he's saying they should have orange ping pong balls so they can wear white shirts because white equals luxury. I just don't like that. It just feels so like, ugh, why do we have to talk about this? And it felt like devoid of personality. Like, I wish he had a more personal reason why he wanted the ping pong balls to be orange, because it's like, because you don't want to wear a black shirt. It's literally like, I was not invested whatsoever in that aspect of the movie. Also, the plot with the dog literally went nowhere. There was genuinely, you could have taken that out of the movie and it wouldn't have changed anything besides Rachel getting shot and having to go to the hospital and give birth. I feel like there was just another way. Y'all could have just had her go in labor. She was 8 months pregnant when we met her the next time we saw her. Like, why did she have to get shot and that triggered her having a baby? Like, that just was so ridiculous. Like, what are we doing? Why are we dealing with this? Why are people dying over a dog? I do not care. I could not give less of a so I loved Kay clocking his tea when he was talking about the necklace and how like, oh, he just felt bad. I love that she like clocked that that was not the reason he was bringing it back. But it's like, girl, you don't have a backbone nonetheless, because the next time we see you, you're giving him something actually of worth. And it's like, I get that like you're in a not so great marriage and you're currently having an affair with this guy, but dang, girl, where is your backbone? You know he's using you for your money, so what? Like, it's annoying. Okay, so this dislike is my greatest dislike, and it is a dislike with movies that are very similar to this. I don't like when a person gets to be shitty the entire movie and basically face no consequences. You could argue and say that, oh, he didn't get to go to the big tournament, so that was his consequence, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, he still got to win something against Endo and then just came back home as if he's just this great person. And I also have a problem with people saying that he chose his family, blah, blah, blah. Girl, where else was he gonna go? Because the man was very clear that he's not in the tournament. So what was he gonna do? Truthfully. Right, okay. So he did not choose his family. He had nowhere else to go. Might as well go back home where someone's going to accept you. Like, he didn't choose his family. I just cannot get past that. He did not choose his family. He had no other choice but to go back home and be with the woman who just had his baby, mind you. If he chose his family, he would have decided not to go to Japan at all because his baby mama was shot. And then he found out that she went in labor and had the baby. So I don't view that as choosing his family. I view that as he had no other choice, and that's why he showed up at the end. Like, oh, I hate that point of view. So finally, let's talk about the lead actor. As we know, it's Timothee Chalamet. So for background, I have only really seen Timothee Chalamet in Call Me by Your Name and technically Lady Bird, but that was years ago, so I genuinely forgot he was even in that movie until I saw like edits of it and stuff. So I can't really attest to if his performance in Marty Supreme is like another level from his other things, because I've only seen him in Call Me by Your Name. But I did personally think his acting was good, specifically in the scene when he won his match finally against Endo, and when the last scene where he's just crying looking at his baby, whatever. And that just goes to show I just really like emotional scenes, like where someone is crying, because it's just like, wow, you're crying. Like in Call Me by Your Name, for example, the last shot of the movie where he's just sitting there crying, honestly peak. But like, other than that, it honestly just felt like Timothee Chalamet was just playing Timothee Chalamet. Like, I know he put in a lot of work to actually learn how to play table tennis, or at least make it look convincing that he knew how to play, but I feel like the characterization was off, specifically because he's supposed to be loosely based off of a real person. Like, if he was just playing a guy who played ping pong, then sure, whatever, be Timothee Chalamet playing ping pong. But when you're basing it off of a specific person who specifically is a Jewish person in New York in the 1950s, like, that's a very specific dialect that you actually have to put in the work to like get in your system, which is like crazy because isn't Timothee Chalamet from New York, so it should be a bit on the easier side. But he just like, his voice took me out in the sense that like it didn't feel like the 1950s, it felt like the 2020s with Timothee Chalamet speaking, especially with the dialogue. Like, I just like, I can't attest for what they talked like in the 50s, obviously, but like the movie did not feel like it was set in the 50s whatsoever. Like, and a part of it was Timothee Chalamet's voice acting and how he carried himself.
So I do want to interject here and say that I did actually do some research on this topic, and I can't fully blame Timothy Chalamet for this because apparently Josh Safdie wanted the movie to kind of feel like it was like in the 70s and 80s, and I don't know if it was the movie itself or just Marty's character, but he wanted it to kind of not just feel like the 50s and be like more decades beyond that, so that it so that we could feel this chaotic feeling that Marty was feeling, I guess. Which it's like that's fine on its own, but when you're basing a movie off of an actual historical figure, it's kind of a little like, why aren't we just kind of trying to fit that actual time period as opposed to just like having fun with it? Plus, the 1950s were also chaotic. Every single time period has been chaotic. Why not just make it chaotic in the 1950s as opposed to just making it feel very foreign to the time period that you have established we're in?
But all that to say, I do think that he did perform the best in his cast, and that's just like, I say that with like a little less confidence than everything else I've been saying, because it's more so with the amount that he was given to do. He did great for what he had, whereas like someone else with this much probably did just as good, but they only have this much, so I don't want to be like, oh, they did better than him. Timothee Chalamet did great for the amount of work that he was given to work with. Okay, so finally, let's get to the last movie, which is Sinners. So for background, this movie was directed by Ryan Coogler and was released April 18th, 2025. And my little story on how I found Sinners it's just so fun. I love telling it. So I first saw Sinners on a list of movies that were going to be in my local Nickelodeon theater. And for background, whenever I'd only been to that theater like twice up to that point, and both times it was basically like empty seating. I could sit wherever I want. Like there was like nobody there. So I thought it was like, oh, this is just a cute little movie theater that not a lot of people go to and stuff like that. So when I saw Sinners was showing there, I was like, oh, this is like a niche movie that just happens to have Michael B. Jordan in it, but nobody knows about it. It's gonna be my little niche thing. I love Michael B. Jordan. I thought it was a small movie or like an indie movie and like no one was gonna know about it. So I watched it and I was like, oh my god, that's the best thing. That's the best thing ever. I feel so bad. No one's gonna know about it. And then proceeded to scroll on Twitter and everyone's talking about it because of course they are, because it's Sinners and Michael B. Jordan is in it and star-studded cast. Like of course everyone knows about it, but I was so convinced that it was gonna be a niche thing that only I would know about. And then I proceeded to watch it in theaters 3 more times and a couple more times like on HBO Max and not so illegal websites and all that jazz. So fair to say I know a lot about this movie, and I probably know the most about this one background wise than the other two. So that's my little background for Sinners. So for the plot, it's very loose because it has layers to it. It's basically twins joined together to open a juke joint in the Mississippi Delta. Lo and behold, they didn't realize they would have to encounter vampires. It's a very loose plot. I personally did not see the vampires coming. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't at all. I was terrified in the movie theaters. I was like, what is going on? What is happening? Yeah, so that was a little crazy, but that's loosely what the plot is. So next, let's get into the costumes of it all. Now, these costumes were very nice. I felt like they fit the time period the most. Like, I was never taken out of the time period that this movie was in solely because of costumes, among other things, but the costumes definitely kept it into the time period, which I think was like 1937, something like that. So it was just really nice for... Okay! Yeah, so I think the costumes were a really big part of why I was never taken out of the fact that this show was set in 1937. It was very nice, and I also really liked that every costume was very specific to who was wearing it. And it's like each costume had a personality and went along with what each person was supposed to represent. Like, for example, Smoke and Stack, Blue and Red, like it went along so perfectly with the characters that these two were and their personality, and it aligned very well. It was just, oh, the costume design, chef's kiss, truly. Ooh, let's get into this soundtrack. This was such a beautiful original score. Like, oh my gosh, I loved it so much. I think this is also a piece that once I actually listened to the entire soundtrack and not just the songs that are like in the movie. Every single like song, for the most part, besides like a couple of them, fit the time period and the specific aspect of Black culture that this movie was covering. Very much so originating in the Mississippi Delta, a very specific kind of guitar sound, very specific kind of voices on these songs. Like, it was so cool to just like listen to a soundtrack that is completely set in this very specific time period, aside from a couple of songs that are more modernized. But so many songs had this like very specific guitar that Sammy plays like throughout the movie. Like, it has that same sound to it, and it was just so nice, and it felt like I was genuinely feeling the movie. Now let's get into the cinematography of it all. Wow, this movie, the way it was shot, oh my god, I could literally like talk about this all day. Like, I could watch this movie on mute because it was just so like, every shot felt intentional, and like there was a thought process behind why we were looking at what we were looking at the time. My favorite clip by far is the one where Michael B. Jordan as Smoke is now Pumpkin. It was when Michael B. Jordan as Smoke was like aiming the gun as he was like killing the KKK members, and he was like, it was kind of like slow-mo in a way. I don't know, it was just so sick. Like, I don't know why, I just really loved that shot. It was just so beautiful. That entire sequence was really cool, like very cool shot. Like, oh my god, wow. And then by far the best cinematography aspect of this movie was for sure the I Lied to You sequence, where Sammy is singing and all the generations of Black music, also there's Asian culture in there, like all of it is mixed into one sequence, and it's like you go around the entire juke joint and then come out and it's like on fire, and then you see the perspective of the vampires. Like, there are so many layers to that sequence. Like, there will never be anything like that again. That was so like so peak. Sitting in the movie theaters having to watch that, bro, I don't think you understand. Like, it was so hard to watch it in the movie theaters because I'm like, I want to watch it again, or I just need a second to pause and like sit with that. Like, when I did a watch party with my friends because some of them hadn't seen it, and we literally had to like pause and was like, let's just like take in what we just witnessed, because it was just such a beautiful shot. Like, so many layers to it, just exuding culture, and it was just, I loved it. I also forgot to say the title card placement. When I first watched the movie, I thought it didn't fit because I didn't know what to expect from the movie, which it was kind of stupid. I should have seen it was going to be a bit on the darker side, but I didn't really expect it. But upon watching it like a few times, the title card fit so nicely. That was a very sick addition as well. Okay, so let's get into my miscellaneous likes and dislikes. I'm not gonna lie to you, this section is empty. Like, I like too many things about it, and I genuinely was racking my brain trying to find something I really disliked about it, but I just couldn't think of anything truly. I also had a similar experience the first time I watched the movie, but when I first watched it, my one dislike was that Haley Steinfeld was playing Mary, and that was only because Haley Steinfeld's character is supposed to be of mixed race, and I thought Haley Steinfeld was just fully white and was just appearing as a mixed race girl, as opposed to them actually casting a mixed race girl that could pass for white. But then I like did more research, and it like looked at her background and everything like that, so that thought is thrown out the window. So now I'm just like, well, I actually don't really dislike anything about this movie, truly. Like, I don't really like, I like too many things about it to where I didn't want to just like list things, because then I'm going to think of something else, and this section is going to be so long, and the rest of the video is so long already. So I just didn't list anything. Now, why would you do that? Now get your tail out the screen, girl. Goodbye, pumpkin, goodbye. I will say that one of my likes that I just don't see talked about a lot is the way that this movie pretty much uplifts women, or like centers women. I really like that. Like, just thinking specifically about the intimacy scene, all three of the intimacy scenes pretty much have like men loving on women and men pleasuring women and like uplifting them, and I really just loved the way the women in the show were like treated. I don't know. So good. It's just, I like too many things about it. I don't want to just sit here and geek out, because I have geeked out about this movie for a really long time, and it only came out less than a year ago. Like, it's my favorite movie. Like, it has been deemed my favorite movie, I fear, so I could geek out too much about it. Okay, so let's get into the lead actor, Michael B. Jordan. He had to play two different characters who were a set of twins. Trust, if I was watching this not knowing who Michael B. Jordan was, I would have been the same little girl that watched Parent Trap for the first time and thought Lindsay Lohan had a twin. His characterization of these two different characters, despite being the same person acting as these two different characters, was just so top tier, truly. Like, I was so emotional watching this scene where him as Smoke was holding him as Stack as he is bleeding out, and I was like, oh my gosh, these poor brothers. And I was not once taken out by the fact that it was Michael B. Jordan playing both roles. It truly felt like I was watching a movie with a set of twins, two completely different people. And you could just tell he really put in the work to emit that feeling of them being two different people. And you had a different feeling every single time each of them were on screen. Like, you didn't feel the same thing about both of them. You had your own personal opinions about either one. I just think he did a really phenomenal job with exuding that. Okay, so finally, the last thing we are going to cover is my wishes for the Oscars 2026. And I'm only covering the categories that have these three movies a part of it and like actors from the movies. And I'm only covering like literally the specific movies and like actors that are in it. So if it's a category where it has other movies in it, I'm not gonna talk about those other movies because one, I haven't seen them, and two, this video is about these three movies that are deemed as the big three. Anyways, the first one, let's get into Best Lead Actor, because I've kind of talked about it a good bit and you can kind of guess what you think I'm gonna say. But I will say I did post on my Instagram story, which you guys should follow me. I posted on my Instagram story a poll to where my followers could vote on their wishes for the Oscars. So I'm going to discuss that, and then I'm going to say what I wish. So Michael B. Jordan got 76% of the votes. Timothee Chalamet got 10%. Leonardo DiCaprio got 3%. And none of the above got 10%. So my choice for this is Michael B. Jordan, and I'm not going to geek out too much because I literally just finished geeking out about him. It is very self-explanatory why I think Michael B. Jordan really does deserve that award. And if he doesn't, I don't usually pull this card, but I'm just going to chalk it up to racism. He objectively did the best out of these three people. I don't, unless it's someone outside of these three, I will be fine with that as well. That's why I'm fine with the none of the above votes. But giving it to Timothée Chalamet or Leonardo DiCaprio, that's a choice. That's a choice for sure. The next one is Best Supporting Actor. So this one was a little interesting. So Benicio del Toro, and I totally fucked that up, but he got 32% of the votes. Delroy Lindo got 27%. Sean Penn got 14%, and none of the above got 27%. Okay, so this one, my personal vote is Delroy Lindo. I feel like he is not appreciated enough for his role in Sinners. But I am also okay with Benicio del Toro winning. He was my favorite actor. Like, I talked about this earlier, that one of the actors was better than Leonardo DiCaprio. This is the actor. He was so peak. I loved him. He was my favorite actor and favorite character in the entire movie. So I'm completely fine if he gets it. Like, that's still minority representation we love. So I'm fine with either one. My pick is Delroy Lindo. So the next one is Best Supporting Actress. Wunmi Mosaku got 44% of the votes. Tiana Taylor got 33%, and neither got 22%. Now, my vote for this is Wunmi. I also feel like she is not appreciated in the slightest for how well she did with this material, and her characterization was absolutely beautiful. But I have no problem with Tiana Taylor getting it. She also ate up in her role. I personally think she did better than Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, like, she also ate up, and what did Issa Rae say?
Everybody black.
Exactly. So I'm fine with either one. It's still my black queens on top. Okay, the next one is Best Director. So Ryan Coogler got 60% of the votes. Paul Thomas Anderson got 27% of the votes. Josh Safdie got 7% of the votes. And none of the above got 7% of the votes. So, dare I say, my choice is Ryan Coogler. He is, that man's mind, like, I didn't really know about him before watching, like, Sinners, but I now I know he directed Black Panther, which, like, already so peak. I just, every single time I watch a video of him describing a different element of Sinners, I learn a new thing, and I appreciate his creativity more and more, and it makes me genuinely feel like every single thing in Sinners was intentional and came from his creative mind. Like, Ryan Coogler on top, guys. So next is Best Cinematography. Sinners got 60%, One Battle After Another got 25%, and Marty Supreme got 15%. So for cinematography, my favorite is definitely Sinners. Like, is it really a question? I definitely like Sinners the most, but I will say I do agree with the Marty Supreme ones. Not as much One Battle. I think the cinematography for all three movies were fine, but I think I liked Marty Supreme's better. Yeah, I don't know. The next one is Best Original Score, and this was up against Sinners and One Battle, and Sinners got 84% of the votes, and One Battle After Another got 16% of the votes. And like, surprise, surprise, I vote for Sinners. I fear it. That original score was just so peak. But I will say I love the One Battle original score. So I don't think One Battle should win over Sinners, but I do get people who prefer the One Battle one, or at least just like the One Battle one. I don't know. So Best Original Screenplay, Sinners got 82% of the votes, and Marty Supreme got 18%. So I'm gunning for Sinners, I fear. Like, that screenplay was fantastic. I loved every single line. It was just peak, I fear. There's no way people are choosing Marty Supreme over Sinners. So next we have Best Costume Design. So Sinners got 76% of the votes. Marty Supreme got 12% of the votes, and neither was 12% as well. I personally am voting for Sinners all day, every day. Like, are we surprised by this specific one? Like I said, Marty Supreme's costumes were like nothing burger, I fear, and Sinners costumes were so like intentional, fit every single character. Like, it's peak, I fear. So the next one is Best Film Editing. Sinners got 53% of the vote. Marty Supreme got 13% of the vote. One Battle After Another got 13% of the votes, and none of the above got 20% of the votes. I personally said Sinners, but also I'm not as well versed with like film editing as anything else, so I'm honestly fine with anything getting this award, but would love a Sinner sweep, honestly. Yeah, so I do think I really did like Sinners film editing, but I can't necessarily dog on another movie's film editing as much. And finally, the super big one is Best Picture. So this one, Sinners got 82% of the vote. One Battle After Another got 11% of the votes, and Marty Supreme got 7% of the votes. I personally believe that the Best Picture for the 2026 Oscars should go to Sinners. Like, it was objectively like it felt like the best movie of last year, the best movie in general. Like, it is now my favorite movie, which used to be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So it's got to be really good to knock that movie down, truly. And that is where Sinners is, and it's just so peak. Like, I need Sinners to win something. I just feel like it's been dogged on so much and overshadowed by other movies, and it's like, guys, it's not even touching Sinners. Like, it is so perplexing to me that it's really even a competition for real when Sinners was just that good, I fear. So that's it for this video. This was just all in good fun and stuff. I just know I'm gonna watch the Oscars this coming Sunday, and I just wanted to get my thoughts about these three movies now that I've watched all three of them and I can actually be objective about them. I wish I could have had time to watch the other movies I wish I could have had time to watch the other movies that are also on the ballot, but I just genuinely have so much to do, and this video itself took so much planning. Like, guys, I put so much work into this, trust. But if you disagree with any of my takes, feel free to jot them down in the comments. Like, I am not really concrete on any of my decisions outside of Sinners, really. So I'm down to listen to your thoughts on things, especially if you're most likely going to be more educated on things than I am. So I would love to hear your thoughts, and you know, we can talk about it or whatever. But this was all in good fun. Just be really compassionate, guys, really compassionate. I'm not gonna be upset really about anything, truly. I just like movies lately, and I want to put my little 2 cents in. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I can do more videos more often, but I am a college student who has a cat, and I do theater, so I can only do so much, truly. But yeah, that's it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one.